So I would like to start with a big thank you to your classmates who planned today's event, and they did a terrific job. So great big thank you to Lindsay Ardiff, Janissa Baker, and Catherine McClelland. So thank you to the three of you. They've really done a terrific job with this today. And then I'd also like to extend a thank you to my co-hosts here today. So Bill Healy is monitoring the chat. So, you know, keep it clean. But also if there's something that you need, you know, he's monitoring that and if there's some issue that comes up. And then of course, Jonathan Webb, who's our bouncer today. So thanks Jonathan for being the muscle. And let's see, I think that's all of the housekeeping items. And so without further ado, I'm gonna hand the spotlight over to our chair, Jules Wald, who is gonna say a few words of welcome. Jules. I know I saw him here. Uh-oh. We might have to skip Jules. Anyone? I know I saw him in the meeting earlier.
I'm there, sorry.
There he is. Hi, Jules. All right, and so we'll try it again. Without further ado,
thank
Jules,
you.
Everybody.
That's the language I always use. Thank you. So, dear class of 2020, the Physical Therapy and Human Movement Science faculty and staff would like to congratulate you with the completion of your DPT studies. Today would have been the convocation date if we would have met in person, and it still is the date that you officially graduate with a DPT from Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine. Congratulations to all of you for a job well done under very difficult and strange circumstances. You are our 92nd graduating class from the oldest PT educational program in the US and currently ranked number 4th in the US. Your virtual graduation is being planned for May 16th, and Keisha and Elton is working on getting you all your graduation regalia. I would like to express my sincere admiration on on how you have handled these very, very difficult circumstances in a highly professional manner. And I'm very much looking forward to the event that you have planned. Congratulations, class of 2020. You're muted.
Oh, age-old problem. I didn't have the mute off. Yeah. So thank you, Jules. Next, we've got an all-star faculty lineup for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce the queue, and then they'll just roll from one to the next. All right, so we'll start with Dr. Craig Hensley, then we'll have Dr. Roberto Lopez Rosado, Dr. Amy Seitz, and then we'll wrap up with Dr. Kirsten Moisio. And so Craig, I'm passing the mic on to you.
Well, greetings, everyone. My dog Rogue and I say hello. First, I'd like to thank you all. I'm humbled and honored to be here with you, and that you selected me to say a few words. Okay, you want to get down? All right, all right. She's not one for the limelight today, I guess. So congratulations, you made it to the end of the tunnel, and I'd like to leave you with a few passing words as we're here. So the first thing I'd like to say is to think originally and think for yourself. Be a problem solver. So if you think about this scenario, if you go for an interview and there's two candidates, you and someone else, and you're asked the question, so how would you manage a patient with patellofemoral pain, or how would you manage a patient with a stroke? Candidate one says, well, I've just read the clinical practice guideline. Yes, agreed, Sarah. I just read the clinical practice guideline by Richard Willey that was published in September of 2019 and JOSPT, and it says the quad strengthening has grade A evidence to manage these patients, so that's how I'm going to manage these patients. Whereas you, Northwestern graduate, will say, well, I might have a few more questions before I proceed with that intervention. So what's the mechanism of injury? Are there any red flags? How irritable is this patient? What are the patient's goals? And most importantly, what is the movement problem? I think we've prepared you quite well for the it depends answer. And you all know now that it truly does depend. My second words of wisdom would be to seek excellence. So be critical of yourself, but don't be too critical of yourself. None of you, all of you will, your license will say DPT, not GOD. So be cautious of seeking perfection, because it's not attainable. You will all be imperfect, and that's okay. You will make mistakes. The key is to learn from them. Every day you get up, you just want to make sure that you give yourself an opportunity to say that you did the best that you did that day. And third and finally, it wouldn't be a good speech for me if I hadn't had some Star Wars reference. So I thought I was going to be able to share my screen. Let's see if I can. Oh, I can't. Okay. Oh well. So I guess my final words of wisdom would be don't give in, and don't give in to the dark side. So what does the dark side look like in the PT world? Complacency, indifference, not caring about your profession, not caring about your patients, or group thinking. So we don't want to go down that route, that path. You want to be caring, you want to be compassionate, you want to care, you want to fight for what is right. And that is all I have. So I don't want to take up too much time.
Okay, and I think Roberto is next.
I am. Thank you, Rachel. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, I see some thumbs up. All right. Well, my dear DPT class of 2020, earlier this week, Bill had called me up and asked me if I could share a few words with you in 3 minutes or less. And for that opportunity, I am humbled as much as I am honored. This ceremony is a celebration of your achievements, so congratulations on your success, doctors. I have always been interested in learning about the in-between failure and success, because that in-between is all about strategies we use to rise up. So I selected 3 strategies I try to focus on when I am in that in-between area. And I have a mnemonic for it. It's okay, guys. Okay, guys. So O for opportunity, K for kindness, and G for grit. I have found opportunities when I was looking for them, as well as when I wasn't. However, the most memorable opportunities are the ones that I had to create for myself, when I get tired of not finding exactly what I was looking for. The comedian Milton Berle said once, if opportunity doesn't knock, just build a door. So create the career path you want, rather than trying to find the one job that meets all your criteria, because it's going to be easier. So in terms of kindness, it feels a little silly talking to you about it, because I have witnessed you being kind to each other, and I certainly have seen you being kind to me multiple times, and in return, I hope I show you kindness too. I encourage you to be kind, especially when it is difficult. In my experience, there's no better teacher of empathy and perspective than when you're kind to someone who doesn't necessarily return the favor. I also want to encourage you to be kinder to yourselves more, especially during these times. And in terms of grit, I may be a little obsessed with a scholar. Her name is Angela Lee Duckworth, and she studies grit, something that she defines as a combination of passion and perseverance. Her research found that grit is a better predictor, get this, of success over talent, IQ, natural ability, and even intelligence. She said, to be greedy is to keep putting one foot in front of the other, which should sound very familiar to all of us. To be greedy, she keeps saying, is to fall down 7 times and rise 8. So draw inspiration from all those patients that show you their grit every single day in the clinic. One last thought, as lifelong learners, always look for mentors and keep on learning from others. If one day you look around and you're the smartest in the room, the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. And with that, I send you my love and all my best wishes. I will miss you terribly. Keep in touch, and thank you.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Hopefully my internet holds up. Let's roll with this. So, good day, everyone. It's really great to see you, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to say something to your class and to see all of your faces. It's been a bit, and we certainly have missed you, and I do feel like this is a great time to get together to share some of the how great you guys should feel putting together all that you have for the last 3 years. So I just have a few thoughts that I want to share with you this morning to help you celebrate the culmination of all the challenges, the struggle, the defeat, and the triumph that you all have experienced with us the last 3 years. So first is the notion of change. So healthcare at this time, probably more than ever, is transforming. The plea to rely on evidence and data and not just beliefs of what may be great treatment is at the forefront of our nation and what we watch daily. I've seen my PT colleagues who are adapting their practice using skills and knowledge in ways not previously imagined. From the acute care setting to outpatient setting with telehealth, you and your peers in this class have spent the last 3 years honing the skills of learning what is at the forefront of evidence-based care for patients with a variety of disorders, covering everything from pediatrics, cardiopulmonary, neuromusculoskeletal. You have the knowledge that it's cutting edge and what many companies are trying to implement at great expense on a large scale basis with their therapists. So simple things like exercise is scientifically grounded treatment to show the most benefit and supported in clinical practice guidelines. So you are well positioned to be the change maker the profession needs. Remember this as a novice clinician moving forward into an environment surrounded by your seasoned vets. You have a lot to learn and to continue to learn, but also know that you have loads to offer. I heard stories while you are from, a lot of you while you're on clinicals of picking up things like red flags and the impact that you had with you and on the patients that you are treating. So you will be the change makers this profession needs. The second idea that I just want to share this morning is that I want to make sure that you remember the why. So I'll share an example of what this means, and hopefully this will resonate with you a bit. So I remember treating a patient back when I was working at Mass General in Boston. She was around a 50-year-old single woman who had previously worked full-time as a pharmaceutical salesperson. She had been diagnosed with an osteosarcoma in her hip, and she had in her femur actually, and she had a limb-sparing procedure with a femoral graft implant, and she was approximately 2 months after her surgery. She was undergoing chemotherapy, and I was seeing her in outpatient PT to improve her strength and her function and try to get her to ambulate without an assistive device. After about 3 or 4 weeks of seeing her twice a week, on this one particular visit, she was extremely nauseous. She didn't have a tolerance to activity, and she really exercise that day was not really tolerated at all. She ended up having to leave the room. She got sick, she was vomiting, and we just sat together until she felt a little bit better so that she could leave the session. So I remember her at the end of the session that she may want to consider, I mentioned to her that she may want to consider staying at home and maybe doing her strengthening program at home for this week, particularly as she's feeling the worst effects of her chemo. She proceeded to tell me that what kind of resonates with me today, it's not what I do when I come to these treatments or how you have me or how I have them walk, right? Or how I cue her. It's why I consistently attend these treatments is when my tolerance is low is because you provide me with the why. So sorry guys. So you guys are the providers that listen to people and you care about their goals and you provide hope. So as I leave you today, I want you to remember that you will always be the providers that should be providing you and providing your patients with the why. So as you begin the process of embarking on your career, remember it's not what we do, it's how we do it and why we do what we do that matters. So seek the why in your next step of your career. You're an incredible group. We had a great time working with you and seeing your development. And I love to see your future successes. So please keep in touch.
All right, thanks, Amy. And Kirsten, you're up.
Okay, can you guys all hear me? All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. To start, thank you so much for including me in your celebration. I see you've carefully selected the beauty, Craig, the brains, Roberto, and the brawn, Amy. And now you get the blasphemous. I'll try to keep this clean. I'm sure there are parents watching. Congratulations on making it down this long, winding road. I know you have long awaited April 17th, 2020. But now that you're here, who are you? And what have you become? I got to try to keep myself together. Amy already got me started. This is not good. All right. So who are you and who have you become? Well, as the anatomist at NUPT, I feel I have the background and the insight to remind you of who you are before you head out into that big, bold world. And I find it only fitting to go down memory lane and draw some anatomy, maybe in the style of neuroanatomy or neuroscience, kind of like a homunculus. However, these days, everything is virtual learning, so you're going to get to experience me and technology all at the same time. And again, the profanity needs to be kept to a minimum. I know this is being recorded. So again, who are you and what have you become? Well, your feet can you guys all see this? Are big and firm. Well, why big feet, you ask? Well, as PTs, you have the most incredible ability to walk along in someone else's shoes. You have empathy. You can stand in your patient's shoes, see their situation, imagine what they're feeling, and act. Seeing things from another's perspective is such a valuable quality. This is worth its weight in gold. It's worth its weight in gold. Don't ever lose those big, firm feet. Well, who else are you? You all have a large, large heart. It's full and it's well vascularized. Gotta draw right coronary here, circumflex, anterior descending. Whoops, sorry, technology. See, I'm a hot mess. All right, hold this up. See, I was supposed to be able to share my screen, but I can't do that. So as a PT, you are choosing to spend your time with people who need you in order to improve the quality of their lives. This is no small task. Emotionally, you are giving all day, hour after hour, patient after patient. You are kind and compassionate. I have seen this time and time again as you helped your classmates, not only academically, but emotionally. You hugged, you talked, you tutored, and you consoled. You have courage, all of you, but especially those students who failed while at NUPT. Hang on, I gotta put the courage medal in here. That's what the courage medal is. But especially those who failed while at NUPT. Not all of you experienced this, but those of you that did thought the sky was falling. I commend you for your perseverance and ability to change. Some of you made such incredible strides after failing that first anatomy exam. You know who you are. You are brave. You did something very scary. You actually took my advice. If only I could get my kids to do this. But I asked you to change, and you did. Be proud of yourself because your heart is large because of your failures. Well, how else have you changed? Well, your hands have multiplied. You've grown so many hands, you didn't even realize it. Now, as a PT, your hands serve so many functions. So many functions. They palpate, they hold, they guide, they push, they feel, and they connect. So don't lose your touch and hold tight to your dreams. Draw some dreams in here now. That's what the balloon is, those are dreams. And your brain is growing and it's electric. You have a whole new set of skills, a new career, but lots of room to grow. Go out and create, study new treatments. Let's get a brain up here first. Study new treatments, form new policy, and make new devices. But be humble. Just because you have a big brain doesn't mean you get to be a jackass. Your eyes are bright and full of twinkles. As a PT, you are an expert at observation. Look around, seize opportunities, and see yourself as a collaborator. Don't take a back seat. And finally, your ears. As a PT, you listen. You listen to patients, you listen to family members, you listen to nurses, doctors, social workers, prosthetists, case managers, all with the goal of helping your patients. But listen, be vulnerable, take advice, but more importantly, listen to yourself. Make sure you continue to love what you do. If you don't, keep looking with those bright eyes full of twinkles, because you need to love what you do. Take it from me, it's one of life's greatest gifts to love what you do. I feel very fortunate to teach the students that I teach. I learn from all of you, and my heart is large and full and well vascularized because of you. So in case you hadn't noticed when you looked in the mirror this morning, you now look like a bloated Squidward. You have become wonderful PTs. Be proud of yourself. I am, the faculty is, and your families are. And the best thing about looking like a bloated Squidward is that these parts continue to change and grow through your experiences. Your heart will grow. In fact, it probably already has with each person you care for. Your brain will grow larger with new knowledge. Your hands will become more calloused and proficient. But keep other parts small, like that digestive tube with an anus at the end, because nobody wants a know-it-all a-hole. Congratulations to all of you. I wish I could hug all of you. Stay in touch.
Oh, thanks, Kristen. And I'm gonna just say, you've had a request go by in the chat. If you can hang on to drawing. If there's a request in the chat, if you can hang on to your drawing, maybe save that and send it out to all of us. That'd be, thank you to all four of you, inspiring words. it's a lot to chew on and a lot to cry over. Okay. So now we get to hear from you, the class of 2020. Next up, we've got Angela Garino and McKenna Splett with some superlatives. All right, take it away.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. Kirsten, oh my God. Okay, so every physical therapy student wants to be the best of the best, and today we're going to find out who succeeded. So drum roll, please. Most likely to give you a pep talk. Thank you, Kelly, for the drum roll. Most likely to give you a pep talk, Natalie Kahn. Congrats, Natalie. Most likely to work with an Olympic or professional sports team, Corey Lapise. I feel weird that I can't hear anything after I say these. Most likely to become an NUPT faculty member, Rob Palumbo. Most likely to become PT Instagram famous, Bree. She's well on her way already. Most likely to discover a new muscle or special test goes to Sarah Rice. And then best study guide maker, Alex Maziak, thank you. I don't know if I pronounced your last name right. Oh, McKenna, sorry, I stole your thunder. You're up.
That's okay. That's okay. No worries. Can everybody hear me now? Yes. Okay, good. All right, so I have the last ones here. I don't mind if somebody wants to turn on their microphone and cheer over me after I announce them, just so we have a little less awkward silence. But anyways, so most likely to get engaged at NUPT graduation goes to Samantha Feller and Logan Davis.
Yay.
All right. Most likely to become president of the APTA, and in my own opinion, probably of the US itself, Catherine McClelland.
Yay.
Yay!
Most likely to lose their goni. Well, I do believe that this one had an almost unanimous vote for Kieran Tobin.
Yeah, Kieran.
Kieran, we will miss helping you find your Apple Pencil in 710 and 705. Best patient to get for your practical exam, Nate Goff. And the one everyone's been waiting for, I know, best calves goes to Jim O'Brien.
Yay.
I'm unmuting.
We're very
Hey. I'm unmuting everybody for a full
heard that many of these are very close. And if your name wasn't announced as the winner, know that you're a winner in everybody's heart. If there was an award for best DPT student, it would be all of us.
Yay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. And so I think I may have successfully unmuted and then muted everyone again. We'll see. All right. Thank you, Angela and McKenna. That was terrific. And congratulations to everybody. All right. And so next we have a video montage. So this is from Jackson with memories of your time at NUPTHMS. And let's see if I can successfully share. All right, here we go, play.
You're feeling good, you're feeling right. Across the floor and I'm already losing my mind. Baby girl, looking fine. Watch you playing and playing and playing these guys. ready and you're feeling the vibe. Someday I'll be so damn sublime. We'll arrive behind the hashtag sign. You, but I may forget your name. My lady, I know what you're thinking when the bass starts ringing. Can you tell me when you're stoked to start? Are you ready for tonight? Setting it on fire and we'll dance until we're dumb in the dark. My lady, I know what you're thinking when the bass starts ringing. Can you tell me when you're stoked to start? Are you ready for tonight? Setting it on fire and we'll dance until we're dumb in the dark. Are you ready? I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Whoa. Break me down, dirty jokes. Watch me deep and say what you want to know. Beauty lies within the eyes of the beholder. I'll be holding you close all night. I won't forget you, but I may forget your name. My lady, I know what you're thinking when the bass starts ringing. Can you tell me when you're stoked to start? Are you ready for tonight? Setting it on fire and we'll dance until we're dumb in the dark. My lady, I know what you're thinking when the bass starts ringing. Can you tell me when you're stoked to start? Are you ready for tonight? Setting it on fire and we'll dance until we're dumb in the dark. Are you ready? I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Whoa. Break me down, I'm ready, break me down. 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 I won't forget you, but I may forget your name. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready.
Wow. Thanks, Jackson. What a treat.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Nicely done. Okay, so now who doesn't love a good story? So next up, we've got stories from your time at NUPTHMS. So please welcome Kelly Rojek, Brenna Murphy, and Natalie Kahn.
Because I'm just like you, Rachel, I am prone to crying. So I asked the girls if I could go first because I felt that it would increase my chances of keeping it together. So thank you, Jackson, for adding some fun to the presentation, and now I can be thoughtful. So a big thanks to Brenna. She took everyone's memories and put it into more of a narrative. So in chronological order, Brenna, Kelly, and I will divide it up. So to start, year one, anatomy, phys, kines, foundations, and oh yeah, did I mention anatomy? There were a lot of collective memories from the first year, and quite a few revolved around anatomy or anatomy lab. Possibly because we spent so much time dedicated to learning the origin, insertion, action, and innervation of every muscle, among countless other concepts. Nose is constantly buried in our oh so sacred purple Bible, book. As we all know, studying from the book wasn't enough. Kirsten made sure we knew that in order to be successful, we had to get into that lab and not just during dedicated class time. However, those anatomy lab classes produced some of our fondest memories, including working in our designated lab groups. As one of you put it, those groups allowed us to get to know each other and people that in the class we may not have gotten to get the chance to spend all that much time with. They created opportunities for Kyle to lip sync to Britney Spears and have Kirsten love it. It wasn't all fun and games in the lab, however, as I'm sure we all remember the multiple cockroach incidences. The cockroach landing on Sarah Rice's shoulder during class, or the one that Brenna watched crawl onto Bree's foot during a practical exam, as Bree stood blissfully unaware until Kirsten stopped the entire exam to tell Bree, "Don't move." Regardless of those more stressful and downright terrifying times in the lab, I know we all agree that we learned a tremendous amount from those cadavers and are forever grateful for the donation of their bodies to aid in our learning. It was truly a special moment when everyone got to share their thoughts and gratitude at the anatomy lab closing ceremony. First year wasn't all about drowning in anatomy though. There were plenty other classes to help with that. Phys, for instance, brought us all into a state of panic and confusion over a seemingly easy topic of equilibrium. Mike tried his best to explain equilibrium in regards to concentration and electrostatic forces, but somewhere in between sodium, potassium, and the semi-permeable membrane, he lost us. Dazed and confused, we continued onward on our physiological journey to let out a sigh of relief when Roberto came in to teach us with his organized slides, notes, and endocrine diagrams.
All right, so continuing on.
Kelly, I'll tee it off to you.
Later on, we all got a few laughs from Sue, who taught us one-liners like, if it's white, it's tight, and we can't always be the good guy, and let my people go. A position of comfort is a position of contraction. Get them out of it. Or the joy Allison Chang experienced during Kines when she discovered in the middle of lecture that there were more color options to use on Notability and got so excited. Yep, let my people go, Scott. I'll never forget that. Or having Bill role play for us. First year brought us with some other hilarious and triumphant moments like Kirsten showing up to class in her space shuttle costume or a dinosaur for Halloween, celebrating at Tim O'Toole's after the first trimester of PT school, or for those of you in the second lab practical wave, in the locker room with Sarah Rice's celebratory shot, attending Justin's comedy show, random memes airdropped to every iPad in 800, and also some that Bree drew, I'll never forget that, and the cagings that occurred with photos of Nicolas Cage randomly replacing people on the class roster photo. But perhaps the greatest moment of all was celebrating the completion of first year at the clinical practice ceremony and boat cruise. We survived first year and CE1 was caged, sorry. Speaking of waiting, getting into second year, remember when we all waited second year for that infamous mural to be finished on the building across from Erie, only to have it be changed shortly after it was finished. Second year, a breath of fresh air after the intensity of first, but only slightly. Thank goodness for Corcos giving us chocolate after every lecture. One person said their favorite memory was ice cream and martinis for dinner because, well, stress. On a completely unrelated topic from stress, let's talk about MSK. This was another example of a class that seemed to bring up a lot of memories for people. And no, they weren't about being haunted by red flags or safety fails. We remembered the pep talks from Steve during MSK labs and performing class chants for Steve to run the camera. Steve. Brenna, you're up.
All right. Can you hear me? Hopefully. So, although the really fabulous camera skills came one day from Doug, Craig was demonstrating the shotgun thoracic thrust on Sarah Rice, and when he got a cavitation, Sarah said, "Well, that's the second best thing that's ever happened to me." As the whole class erupted in laughter, Doug zoomed in on Craig's face perfectly as he began to blush and smile awkwardly. Sarah then proceeded to school us all, including faculty, on the physics of a cavitation. Despite the craziness that was PT school, we sure did know how to have fun outside of class. Beer Olympics gave us all a chance to practice our timed up and go. The jukebox at Town Hall facilitated a post-trimester dance party. Going on the boat cruise as second years encouraged us all to really let loose. And gathering together at Sarah Rice's house in August allowed us to celebrate completing our didactic work. Throughout this journey, we supported each other endlessly and had the support of our faculty. NUPT created an environment that, among other things, allowed the celebration of LGBTQ+ culture. One fond memory being attending the Pride Parade and seeing Bill and Roberto walking in it, so surprised to see us. The smile on Roberto's face and the photo captured of him hugging us as a group are priceless. 3 years ago, when we all first met at orientation, the faculty told us that we would be friends and colleagues and grow as clinicians and people more than we ever thought possible. Whew, gonna try to keep it together. Having gone through school now, I don't think any of us fully appreciated how true those words would be. We've all grown and changed and are better for it, and we're all forever bonded by what we've experienced together. We entered the NUPT program as 92 individuals, but we're leaving as the class of 2020 family.
Nice job. Very nice job.
Thanks, Benna.
Thank you.
Wow, well done. Okay, so next, we've got a class photo. So this is going to be a photo with faculty and students all together. And so Lindsay Ardiff's on standby here to get a view of all the galleries, right? So our job is for about 10 seconds to pose. Y'all ready? So 3, 2, 1, give it a pose. All right, Lindsay, you got it yet? It feels like about 2,100 seconds so far, doesn't it? We're there. Well done, everybody. Okay, next up, we've got Dr. Justin Drogas with the toast. I know it's only noon, but I got some champagne ready. So Justin, lay it on us.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I want to echo everybody's sentiments saying congratulations. Sorry we can't do this in person, but I'm glad we were able to do this. And I definitely identify with Roberto's remarks of, you know, if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, you need to be somewhere else, because at NUPT, I've never felt like the smartest person in the room for 1 second. And that includes being in the room with all of you. But now my job is to give a toast. So I'm going to switch settings here to Oktoberfest. Since I have 2 small children, everything in this toast is a rhyme, of course. So, to the Doctor of Physical Therapy class of 2020, may your future be rewarding and bright. I hope that your triumphs are many and that failures move quickly out of sight. You've done something quite remarkable. This is true and there can be no doubt. Many others tried to get to this place, but you all are the ones who stuck it out. Through lecture and lab and reflection, through each demonstration and quiz and exam, through each presentation and discussion, and every visit to Bessie and Pam. You've managed the stress and the content, you've laughed and you've cried probably too. But importantly, you kept moving forward and did whatever you needed to do. Your reward isn't just letters after your name, or a job or a promising career. Your reward is the chance to change lives, and that calling has led you to here. I know you've had at least one moment with a patient or a patient's loved one when they thanked you effusively and genuinely, and those moments are second to none. I wish you a lifetime of those moments to remind you how amazing you are. Never forget the awesome feeling of helping others. Chase it, and you will go far. Now, this isn't the end of your education. You will continue to be challenged and pushed. But I know you will keep trying and learning so your expertise is never ambushed. But that's enough talk about the future, because it will always be there. The licensure exam isn't happening yet, and your loans, sadly, aren't going anywhere. So today, right now, let's toast this tremendous accomplishment, even though we can't hug or high five. You may be sitting in an empty bedroom, but that's a poor excuse not to come alive. So let's raise a glass, real or imaginary. Clap loudly and smile and dance, but don't stand up because you're on Zoom and you're probably not wearing pants. Congratulations to our new colleagues.
Well done.
Well done.
Great job, Justin.
Justin, thank you for that. Oh boy. One of my co-hosts keeps muting and unmuting me. So Justin, thank you for Justin, thank you for that. That was and actually this seems like a fitting time to tell you all I received a private chat from Keisha, who asked me to announce to you all that she's officially conferred all of the degrees. So congratulations, DPTs. Boy.
Yay!
Well, and what terrific timing then. So as we near the end of our agenda, I'm going to give you some scoops from here. The last on the agenda is the closing remarks from the leadership team. And so after the leadership team is done, what will happen from there is the entire faculty team will leave. That way the class of 2020 can capture a photo with well, in my notes to myself, it says a photo with students only, though I suppose that's not appropriate anymore, right? So I suppose this would be with alum only, graduates only. So, but before I hand it off to the leadership team, oh geez. Okay, so it has been so fun and meaningful to be with you all here today. I know I speak on behalf of all of the faculty when I say that we're excited to count you as our colleagues. Goodness, more tears. So you all are gonna do great things. Okay, whew. So with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Babette, Heather, Krista, Marjorie, and Bill for our closing remarks. And so Babette, it's all yours.
Unmute. Okay, so it's really, really an honor to be here today. When we talked about this at the leadership meeting about what order we wanted to go in, Bill said, well, we'll just go in alpha order and he'll be last. And I said, that was fine as long as I wasn't going first because he was doing it by age. So I'm really, really excited to be here. I can only hope that your careers are as wonderful as mine has been. And I think the whole faculty would say that is, I don't think any of us have ever had a regret about becoming a physical therapist. And so I hope for your future. As I was out walking yesterday morning and I was thinking, what did I want to say in a very brief amount of time? Graduations, and it sounds corny, but are both an end and a beginning. And there are very few other life moments where there's such a huge transition in such a short amount of time. And the only other thing that I could think of where there was an equally huge transition in a short amount of time was becoming a parent. Whether you give birth to your child, whether your partner is giving birth, or whether somebody, a surrogate, has given birth for your family. They're very, very, I just can't think of another moment that there's such a huge transition in a short period of time. So I hope you're savoring all that just is happening in these few moments. I think that as we think about the climate that you are graduating into, it depends takes on a whole new meaning. And it depends on things that I don't think any of us ever dreamed of, thought about, and hope in our careers, in your careers, we've been prepared to think very differently, but never have to think in a way that we've had to think over the last few weeks. And even with all of that, I'm so, so excited for your futures and the contributions that you are all set to make. I think my colleagues have said it all so well. You're prepared. We're honored to have you join us as colleagues and go forth and conquer. We're dependent on you to carry on. So congratulations.
Hey. Thank you, Babette.
All right, so I wrote about 14 different things and threw half of them away and then mixed up a bunch of stuff, but here goes, best I can do. Class of 2020. First, I'd like to acknowledge the past 3 years. I love analogies, so I'd like to tell you a quick story. if it wasn't story time with Heather. I remember one of my first patients, she was 16 years old, had a brain injury and bilateral femur fractures. She was agitated and confused. All I needed to do was transfer her from the bed to the wheelchair. I was brand new and I had no idea what I was doing. The young lady yelled every expletive imaginable from the time that I started touching her until the time we got into the wheelchair. Her mother was mortified. And at the end of the transfer, she simply said, "Thank you." And I think that really speaks to me about my own experience in PT school, and maybe you'll feel the same. As you remember about brain injury, we're sort of dealing with, the patient is dealing with their own internal chaos and confusion. And I think that's how I went through my 3 years of PT school, dealing with my own internal confusion and chaos. But in the end, when I got to the very end, I simply said, "Thank you." So I want to congratulate you all on surviving the chaos and confusion of PT school, and not just surviving, but really thriving. And so my message to you is really my hopes for you. So I wrote down a couple of things. I hope that you wake up every day and are happy to be a PT. Not that you love your job necessarily, but that you love your work. I hope that you continue to push yourselves to learn and grow, and that when you feel that first tiny pang of boredom, that you go out and learn something new. I hope that you stay grounded in evidence and maybe find something new and share that with the world. I hope that you continue to challenge the status quo, and that when your coworkers say, "We've always done it this way," that you'll be challenged to find a better way, a more efficient way, and a way that improves your work and that of everyone around you. I hope that you will keep making goals for yourselves and crushing them. This has been a huge goal for you, but there's a lot more to accomplish. I hope that you will not be afraid to try. I hope that you will go for that promotion, the dream job, and the opportunities presented to you. I hope that you will find joy. These are happy joy in the little successes, both for you and your patients. That first time your patient walks again after a stroke, or brings in a video of their first game back after injury, or when you become the manager or hang a sign in your very first PT clinic. Enjoy the joy. And finally, I hope that you will continue, that you will continue to impact the world, one day at a time, one patient at a time, the way that you have already impacted so many patients and impacted me. I hope that you stay in touch, because I cannot wait to see all the amazing things that you all accomplish. Congratulations, class of 2020. Sorry, it's class of 2020. You guys have made my heart. Next.
Thank you, Heather. Beautiful.
Christy.
I am up next. So I just have to say it has been such a pleasure to work with your class from the very beginning of your DPT education all the way to the end of CE4, which I know was not maybe the way that you expected it. Reviewing your CPIs demonstrated to Corey, Toby, and me that you were clearly ready to serve your patients as full-fledged members of the healthcare team. Your CIs wrote stories of recognizing your preparedness, such as, and this list could go on, but just a few of them, one of your classmates giving up their weekend to attend continuing education coursework, or another classmate who developed an educational session for a multidisciplinary audience. The outcome of the session was development of a related research project, or a classmate who, after completing a vestibular screen, recognized that a patient was having centrally based symptoms. The student then alerted the physician. After a workup, it was determined that the patient had a stroke. And truly, I could go on with so many examples of how you thrived in the clinic. So these and many more demonstrate your readiness and reasons for you to celebrate the time and preparation you've dedicated over the last 3+ years. I am so pleased to call you colleagues and look forward to the many ways our paths will cross over the years during your careers, including when you sign up to take your first NU student as a CI, but no pressure. I know you are just getting out there. So with that, I just want to say congratulations to you all. And I look forward to hearing from you long into the future in your careers.
Beautiful. Thank you, Krista.
Good morning. My deepest congratulations to all of you in the class of 2020, and who in my heart are my class of hope. That I'll always cherish your messages of encouragement that helped me through my wilderness journey when I was going through treatment. What a critical boost to my spirits you provided in December of 2018, when I just fondly remember all those holiday cards that you delivered to my home shortly after you were finished with your final exams. And that it was such a boost to me that you took time to write those cards and to boost me before I was going to have my stem cells transplant. And then now, although we all are journeying through this wilderness experience right now with the COVID crisis, I encourage you as a class of hope to have faith that you'll find a path that is really far beyond your imaginings. Just as you have lifted up me, I have confidence that you will lift up patients, families, and communities with your talents and your hearts. And just cheers again.
The cranberry juice, Marjorie? Thank you very much. Everyone who was part of this beautiful ceremony, it's really, I've been moved to tears several times, and I hopefully will be able to maintain my composure as I wrap it up. I like to conclude this beautiful ceremony with a quote from one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. I came across this quote at some point over the last year or so, and I wrote it down on a little sticky note that I put on my bathroom mirror until it fell off eventually, and now it's on my bureau. And so I see it every time I get my t-shirts or my jeans. It's just sort of curled up. But I see it and I know what it says, and it still thrills me and excites me and inspires me. And so I wanted to share it with you, the class of 2020. It's a simple quote from Mary Oliver. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So graduates, enjoy this top of the world feeling you have today. It's a wonderful feeling, isn't it? It's a beautiful feeling. It's well-deserved and it's contagious. I can see it in your faces. I can see it on this ceremony, this virtual Zoom ceremony. You are truly an exceptional class. So go out into the world on this snowy, can you believe it? It's a snowy, cold, wintry day. I don't know how many graduations I've been to where it snowed in Chicago in April. Go out into the world, be bold, be caring and compassionate, be brave, be safe, be well. And tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Until I see you in person, here's my virtual, kind of weird, my virtual hug. So I'm moving in. And before we go, if we could take a minute, I'd like to scroll through and see everybody's picture before we leave. Rachel, is that all right? I haven't had a chance to look at everybody. And then maybe just scroll or put it on the gallery view.
Of course, I'll cancel the spotlight video. There you go.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
I just want to see everybody. Oh, good. Okay, Rachel, I'll turn it over to when you're ready, to the mistress of ceremonies.
Okay, well then I will, I'm gonna hand it over. This is where faculty step out. I suppose in graduation, this is where we would all sort of file and go towards the back of the ballroom, right? And so I'm going to hand over my hosting duties over to Catherine McClelland. Okay, it's official. And so with that, faculty, students, not students.
Graduates.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations.
Hey.
Great job, everyone. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Enjoy your new homunculus. You're all nice and colorful.